Hey, everybody out there in United Network land and Queensland and YouTube land. Welcome, Jason, Victor Taylor, and we have two special guests. We're going to talk about everything that you want to ask them, even if it's personal. And we're gonna ask about some movies that we had talked about before when they were on Paranormal Swamp Talk. They had talked about some other stuff. Maybe releases, maybe not too far out from now. We were going to talk about those movies and maybe some of the other movies you guys have already seen or heard about, been put out, and anything else that is paranormal or horror related, whatever. So, welcome, David and Craig.
Welcome.
Thank you.
If you don't care to just like a brief introduction or like just a little bit of talk a little bit about yourselves, each one of you.
Go ahead, David.
He does this to me every time.
He did it last time too.
Okay. David has an interesting story. Before this business, I was in mortgage banking. Now, where exactly do you go with that? I mean, there you go.
And this one time the bank got robbed by a ghost. No, I don't know.
Right?
I would say he could always talk about somebody that he took advantage of, but he's not that kind of guy, or he wouldn't be my partner. So, see, I'm stuck.
You know? Yeah, we both are, and here we are.
Anyway, my name's David Espinosa. Thank you so much, and I appreciate being here. I'm with CRA Entertainment, as my partner is Craig Ahrens. We are the creative renegade artists. Along with two associates who work with us, Mr. Robert Crow and Shane Moss. We do horror movies. We've been involved in this now for about 3.5, 4 years straight, working on these enterprises of ours. And I don't even know what to say about that other than I'm so blessed to have the opportunity to make movies with my friend Craig. I've been in and out of the industry for many years, going back into the 70s, early 80s. So for me, this is a blessing. I love what I do. I direct the films, try to organize them, and with the help of Craig and other people, we get lucky enough to complete one. But that's what I do. I'm from UCLA's Theater Arts Department. I love saying that because I loved UCLA, a great school to go to. I'm also a graduate of Santa Clara University's law school. So you see, I mix horror with comedy. Okay.
Yeah. With law? Did you say law also?
Yeah.
It
kind of works. It kind of works, if you think about it. They're both outrageous environments. So what the heck? But I had the opportunity of meeting Craig from some people I met on a set, and we hit it off. He introduced me to a screen play that he had done. The people down the street, the neighbors next door, the people down the street, I think it was, or the neighbors next door, something like that. And he actually knew these people, knew about them, and we turned it into The Evil Down the Street. But that's how I met Craig, starting with that film. And I'll let Craig talk about what he does.
Yeah, I saw, like what David was saying, David's on the writing, directing side of our business. Now we collaborate, of course, on everything, but my side is more on the producing side of things. And this is what we do 24/7. I mean, this is really, truly, truly, it's really all that we do. I mean, it's we just make movies. We talk off, a lot during the day, and we've been very fortunate. Like what David said, there's no point in repeating everything that, we're doing something that we really enjoy doing with other extremely talented people, and that's it. I mean, it's nothing fancy. We're filmmakers, and we make films. I mean, that's what we do.
That's cool.
Good evening, Penny. Good evening, Jeff. Good evening, everybody's watching. We got 13 people in the house. That's my lucky number. Hey, paranormal consultant and Jeff and Courtney. Hope you're all having a great night. Sadly, I'm stuck at work, so I'll catch the replay. Just wanted to stop by and show my support. Thank you, paranormal consultant. That's a long name. Jeff says, I was once the groundskeeper at the Bel Air House in Bel Air, Ohio.
Spooky.
That's
Wow.
cool.
Thanks for joining. Please share the live and enjoy the show. Hey, Stephen. Jeff, Adam, and Jadam said, Jadam said, sounds like a lot of fun. I remember you guys had told me, y'all had told me a story when we were on Paranormal Swamp Talk, and I can't remember exactly how it went, but it was sort of, hey, Rob, sort of paranormal related to the set of The Evil Down the Street, right? The property, the place that y'all had picked
There was
out
two
to
different. There was two different things that I think you might be referring to. I'll talk about one of them. Let Craig talk about the other one. The one that I thought was the creepiest was the sounds, the stuff that personally happened to me when we were shooting The Evil Down the Street. We shot the basement scenes and the scenes for Father Bob at a facility 100 miles into the desert. The high desert at an old abandoned reform school. And down in the cavity of this thing where we were, the basement where the little office was, a makeup artist was doing makeup on me, putting crosses on my back and on my shoulders, because I got evil coming from every direction. So I'm going to be ready for him. And as she's applying this makeup, we hear these really loud banging noises. Well, I think it's some of our sound people because our sound guy told me he had recorded some really weird sounds earlier, and I heard him, and it sounded like that. So I'm thinking it's our sound guy messing around, and I kind of ignore it. She's getting really worried because it's just her and I, and everybody else is at this other location picking up the tech equipment and going to bring it to where we're at. So she starts getting freaked out. I go, hey, wait, look, there's nobody in here, and this is a long hallway with big rooms left and right. The big steel doors with the push bar, when you open them. And so I went through this. She goes, don't go down there. Don't go down there. I said, it's okay. There's nobody here. I was here earlier. So I went down and I said, see, I peeked my head in all the rooms and I come back. And this thing's probably a good 100 feet long. Easy. I come back. She starts applying them and it starts up again, only this time really, really loud. We have this recorded, by the way. And she just totally lost it. I can't do this. I didn't sign on for this. That's why I didn't like to do horror movies. Something always creepy happens. I don't want to do this. I said, well.
It's a good way to get into character if you have to be afraid, I guess.
Oh, yeah, but she's the makeup artist. That's the only bad part.
Oh, she's a makeup artist. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, and I have to admit, it started creeping me out because I knew these rooms were empty and this sound is extremely loud. I mean, it sounds classic, cheap horror movie loud.
Yeah.
That's how loud it was.
Wow.
And I was blown away. I said, hey, look, the guys will be here. Sure enough, they showed up within about 5 minutes. All the rest of the crew. I told everybody what was going on. She was shaking, So you can't explain some of this stuff away. And when you try to tell somebody, they go, yeah, right. You're just trying to get some kind of marketing for your film. Not at all. Not at all. And Craig, tell them about the orbs.
Yeah, you're reading my mind. Before this story, we always scout locations, right? And so I first went there and scouted the location with one of our assistants. And so I took a video, like we always do. We've done this hundreds of times, okay? So I sent it to David. So he calls me and it says, do you see kind of like what I see? I'll fast forward this a little bit. Long story short, in the video that I captured, we had orbs. Now, I know different people have various views of orbs, okay, and that's fine. And that's like with these stories, this is fine that we shared on your show, Rosie and Jason, but you're not necessarily going to see us go out and put this somewhere in print because a lot of people, it's just, they're doubting Thomases. We know these are actual and factual because this happened to us. And so, yeah, there was no other light sources in there. And we had ours as a double basement. As you saw the film, it's a double basement. And it's that we call it, let's say, basement B, which is to the left of the downstairs basement. But yeah, when we first got that location, we knew it was the right spot because we had orbs and true, right?
But
And
that wasn't the only thing. There was strange things happening on these grounds.
Yeah.
There was dead cold. We were all inside.
yeah,
It was in April. There was still snow on the ground. There was no wind, no nothing. This is the high desert. And there's a big tree off to this house where we're at, and the swing hanging, and the swing's moving. And everybody's going,
Yeah.
"Hey, did you see that? Did you see that?" And everybody's going, "I saw that." You know, and weirding everybody out. So we shot that all those scenes in what, 4 days?
yeah, and also bear in mind at that time there was no wind. It was just painfully still, and the swing was just going back and forth. And yeah,
Oh,
I,
wow.
but that whole shoot was a little strange like that as well. The main house,
yeah,
the family that we rented this house from to shoot in, they had a
Hmm.
huge library, as you saw in the movie. You
Hmm.
see all this wall, you know, it's not huge, but it's big enough in the more most people have. The whole wall is library. And when we were rehearsing the scene, uh, the actor goes up, and I said, we tell him, here's the scene. You walk in, you pick a book at random, and you're looking through it, and he goes, okay, yeah, and then give your lines, do your thing there. He walks in, he grabs this book, he opens it up at random, and on the top of the page, you see right there, How to Marry a Demon. We did not put that book there. That book was
That's
a
crazy.
book of how to communicate with demons, a book on
Uh-huh.
demonology, and that book was there before we even knew. The owner of the house had that book
yeah,
in their library. So I'm starting to get a little weird with these people in the first place. I'm like, all right, we got to hurry up and
Maybe
get
it
out.
was all like an energetic, like synchronicity. Like everything just
Yeah,
came all together perfectly for y'all to do the movie there at that location, and that book got pulled out, and those people lived there before, like that let you use the house. Oh, it was kind of like, I
there
don't
was
know.
no friendly energy in this shoot.
No.
No, the friendliest was at the basement. Ask Craig. There was
yeah,
Hmm.
they're really weird. We had some really good moments, really good energy, but there was a lot of negativity, hostility in the energy, and it showed up. It showed
Hmm.
up in the film. We used, of course, as a director, I'm going to use whatever's available if I can help an actor reach emotionally where they're supposed to be. And Elena Gerard, God bless her, she was very uh, not just capable but amenable to it,
Hmm.
and she knew what she had to do to get there to feel that, and so she requested more hostility. I don't know if you've ever been on a set where there's something really heavy going on with it, and an actor's not able to necessarily reach that mental state to be it violent or
Hmm.
broken down mentally. Uh, as a director, I will help an actor get there. So I'm more of an actor's director. I'm going to help you produce the emotional state of mind that's
Yeah.
necessary. And she really got there. It kind of blew the people away a little bit because of the language. I had rehearsed with her this scene and how to get her there emotionally, and it was pretty nasty in the language.
Yeah.
And so she had asked me to do it right before we were going to shoot. I said, "Are you sure?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." So I did it.
It'd be
Oh
kind of
yeah, I
funny.
mean, it wasn't pretty. I laughed because I'm not going to sit here and uh, get into that frame of mind where it
Yeah.
was. But the people who owned the house, uh, they were a little blown away by it all. So it was a hostile environment. Stuff was falling off
um,
walls. Greg.
yeah. That they had this very large mirror uh, affixed to a wall downstairs. We were upstairs shooting, and we heard this loud crash downstairs. And my first thought was the mirror because it was the only thing you could just hear the thud and nothing else made any sense. So Dave and I came downstairs and expecting to see the mirror shattered to bits. Not at all. And the owner happened to be there. which made it even more of a concern for a bunch of obvious reasons. And she was shocked, like, how did that come off the wall? The way they just imagine it was a heavy mirror. It was a good sized mirror. Like, gosh, David, what was it? Maybe 5 by 8. I mean, it was
huge and big, solid
huge.
framed wood.
Yeah.
I mean, it weighed easily 60 pounds. It was not light.
Yeah.
Was
Big,
it old
big.
or new or anything like that stuck out about it, like antique?
You
or
know,
just
Well,
plain?
I remember
had-
it well. It had to be an antique and old. I mean, it
it
was.
looked like it had a French provincial type
Yeah.
frame to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they were
very
shocked
stylish.
because they had it professionally mounted on the wall to withstand an earthquake. But so, so there.
And
there
it still
you go.
fell.
Oh yeah.
It still fell.
Yes.
And
Oh,
we
yeah.
didn't knock it down. We were nowhere near it, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't need that bad vibe, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's it's strange how I think energy on a set will change depending upon what you're doing.
Yeah.
The film The Crumbs was kind of crazy, and we had it was a lot of crazy scenes in it, and there were scenes that we took out, extracted from The Crumbs, because otherwise it would have been 2.5 hours, 2 hours 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Lord of
And
the
it was just too
Rings
long.
trilogy, Star Wars.
Exactly.
Right.
Just how many people can they murder in a film?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we were going for it.
You don't need a long movie. The new Halloween movie wasn't very long. And boy, they hacked up a bunch of people in it.
Yeah, that's true.
What did you think of that movie?
I liked that new angle on it. It seemed directed differently. I thought it was interesting how I love when they go back to the past and they take the character and they put them back in their past character and they show them then. And I liked how the beginning started out with the boy grown up telling the spooky story like a campfire tale, kind of like a folk tale, just because he didn't really expect anything to happen after that. And then lo and behold, they're still there having some drinks and the crap goes down in the parking lot and it just goes ahead and happens. Like he spoke it into existence almost. But I didn't like the ending. I know that they were supposed to have had an alternate ending. I don't know what it was, but I would like to see what the other two options. I think there were two other options that they had.
Can I take option B?
Yeah, and I'm like, I want to see what the other alternate endings were because I didn't really like the ending. I mean, I want to see if they would have been better because I think they were controversial and a lot of people either on the set or the previewers didn't like the main ending that they had picked out first, and then they swapped it to whatever the ending is now in theaters. So I liked it other than I really didn't like that ending.
But you know what you're saying is so important
Mm-hmm.
because the beginning and the ending is what people remember. What happens in between, they're forgiving with, depending upon what goes on. But that ending, if that isn't socked in there solid, you just disturbed the hell out of them because that's the last thing you left them with.
It's like you could tell that it wasn't the original ending. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything started, transformed, and like went in a certain direction, and then the ending was like, what? That was weird. It could kind of tell that they swapped it out and they traded it for an alternate ending. I could tell anyway.
Well, that's when the studio calls the producer that goes downhill from there saying, look, you need to wrap this film tomorrow. That's it. So
no, really, that's what it felt like.
It
seemed like there was a deadline there that needed to be met, and they just slapped something on the end that they thought would be acceptable. That's what I thought.
Tomorrow's the last day. Wrap it up. Yeah.
What's the most recent thing that's happened that was like that in memory? Yeah, to me it's Game of Thrones. So.
Yeah.
For something.
Let's wind it up, folks. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
That was the worst ending in the history of endings to me. So.
Well, don't tell everybody. No, I'm just kidding because I don't know. I don't know it. I didn't see it.
It's terrible.
I agree with you.
I didn't really.
It proves the point.
Yeah.
No matter what goes on,
if you've watched the whole entire time and you've been sitting there diligently, just waiting and hanging on every cliffhanger for the next show, and then the ending is kind of like,
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of disappointing.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping that doesn't happen to us with our next films.
Yeah.
I know, right? We're saying all of this, setting ourselves up big time.
We're venturing into the unknown. If you don't mind, I'll give you a hint as to what it is.
Yeah.
We are actually screening our latest feature film next week on the 18th of November
Awesome.
in Rockland, California, at a really nice theater.
Hmm.
It's a movie grill. They'll bring food right to your
Oh, that's
environment,
awesome.
drinks. And it's a
Hmm.
nice place, and it's called Love and Quarantine. It's a horomedy. It's a
Yay.
romantic horomedy. Okay,
Okay.
Horomedy?
a horomedy.
Horomedy.
See,
And
the
that
issues.
word does exist. We didn't just start drinking it. We just, hey man, we'll just call it a harmony. No,
We just thought we'd make some shit up. I mean,
Yeah, I think there's going to be probably a few different movies come out of that in that new way about stuff
Mhm.
happening in quarantine and all.
I'm
yeah,
surprised we
Yeah.
I'm
haven't
sure.
seen more, which I don't know about Hulu and Netflix, but I'm surprised we haven't seen way more apocalyptic, like zombie movies. We've always had so many of them. I just feel like you have a quarantine, you kind of think about like the end of the world,
Well,
some kind of
right.
apocalypse.
earlier we were talking about the effects that we have upon each other, right? In society and
Yeah.
whatnot, and most of all this horrific stuff, including horror movies, comes out of just exactly that. The relationships that we have, the effects upon each other, good, bad, whatever. And look at this quarantine business. What's more disturbing than watching the person that you've been living with for 20 years plus do the same little thing that irritated you before, but
I
now
know
you have
that's
to
must be
watch.
why the murder cases have gone up. I mean, not
Well,
to be morbid or like make something funny out of something not funny, but like I've noticed because I have an obsession with watching different cases and court cases and like the analysis of murder cases. Hey, Valerie, but I've noticed a lot of, and this is terrible, but if you're weird like me, you find a humor in it that like a lot of like families murdering each other has
hey,
happened in this last 2 years. It's crazy.
absolutely it did. Domestic violence and the increase
Yes.
from cabin fever,
And suicide
developing
and
that
homicide
paranoia.
and yeah,
Yeah, anxiety, stress,
crazy.
increased alcohol use, drug use, everything you can imagine. I mean, I'm really not drinking any more or less, or smoking any
I
more or
was
less
like, I'm drinking
than
the
I did
same every
before. So,
day. No, I'm just
and I never went anywhere anyway. So what the hell, right? I'm good to go.
yeah.
What's you guys' favorite more like horror way to look at horror stuff like the old the slasher stuff from the 80s like Freddy Krueger or like more like the supernatural paranormal side of everything.
It's a good question.
It is a good question.
I think we're more down the middle, and I think I can define that by saying that I find the acts of man and woman, people uh, doing horrific things, scarier than watching Freddy Krueger chase people and chopping them up for whatever reason, or Jason or anybody else, Leatherface. But that horrible, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre really happened.
Yeah.
The first
Yeah.
time I saw the original movie, I was horrified. I lost it. I stood up. I forgot where I was because I knew it was real, and I stood up in my seat and said, "Oh!" And I had to calm my ass down.
Yeah.
I'm very amenable to somebody else's pain and susceptible to their emotions.
Yeah.
Like Last House on the Left.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know that movie. That
Mhm.
also is a very true. That happened.
Old.
Uh,
It's older. Yeah.
Horrible shit. That's what I find horrific. All these other slash and dash and chop them up to chop them up, whoa. But those two movies in particular, and I like the supernatural because I believe it. I'm a strong believer in God, and if you can believe in God, you surely can believe
Yeah.
in the
Because you can't always really
intervention of the other world.
see him. all the
Absolutely.
time. I
And
mean, you can feel it and see it in your inside you, but
exactly. So we're trying to combine the two. We're trying to find topics that are and issues that real people in our lifetimes deal with, but have horrific understandings or ideologies that drive them.
Mm.
I mean, take a look at what's happening right now in our society. The KKK running down the street, bro, at nighttime, carrying torches. Not me, not me, not never take us, no, no, or anything that's going on. Somebody opening fire on somebody because he's black and he's in the street, or white people who are protesting to help, and somebody has a gun and turns around and just starts shooting him because he says he's afraid. Look at how horrific that
it's like
is.
a regression back to medieval times slowly. Like we're
Yes.
not really there yet, but we're going that direction. Like it's gonna go
Scary.
in
Yeah.
that direction.
Yeah.
And
Scary.
so I think Craig, really helped me see that when he wrote the original screenplay for The Evil Down the Street. And maybe you want to give him a little insight as to what inspired you to write that.
Well, David touched on it a little bit earlier. The family the film is based on, I had known for years. And like, Jason's question, how do we feel about slasher or paranormal meets supernatural? And certainly for me, it's leaning towards the paranormal. I mean, as a child, I was always around it. My dad's mom, my grandmother, obviously, had her crystal ball, her tarot cards, and Ouija board that she would consult with. So for me, it was just always there, always around, and something you had to really respect. So fast forward later in life, if you will, this family, I had known, and I certainly knew their story well, and what always struck me, and I think David, the working title we had for Evil Down the Street was like the family down the street. It sounded like a remake of Mary Poppins. It was like a musical or something. But what always struck me is there was nothing unique about this family. They were just an ordinary family, moved into their home, and things just got crazy, over time, if you will. And they never wanted notoriety. They didn't want to have people look at them as nut jobs or make up a story. So they never saw any benefit in it. But certainly, years later, as a filmmaker, is a story that I felt compelled to share. And thank God, that's when David and I first met, because he was right. I had a rough draft of the script, and David brought it home and to the level that we were able to shoot our film with. But yeah, that family, I remember those days well. It's like what David said. We have a line in the film like, "Does mom seem okay to you?" Because you just don't go from that to like overnight. There's a process you go through. And again, if you have one
Yeah.
family like that, how many other families are out there that have similar situations?
And what's scarier than seeing your mom standing downstairs in the middle of the night doing the hoochie coochie to who knows what's in the
Right,
corner?
right,
I
David.
mean,
Probably nothing, unless she was like burning a baby, and I don't mean that to sound bad. I would not condone that
I
in
know
any
what you're
way, but
saying.
that would make me like I would just lose my crap. I'd first I'd try to go save it, and then I'd probably run screaming.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
There's a lot of, there's a kind of like a lot of Charles Manson versus like The Exorcist in a way, to what you guys are trying to, try to combine in between things, right? And that kind of
Mm-hmm.
where you're going, kind of where
Well,
you want to mix it.
I like the way you put that, and the two films that you used, or the horrible guy, and then the film. I like that combination you used because Demon Fighter, a film that we are looking to release first quarter coming up, January, February here,
I'm excited for
and
that one.
that encompasses those themes. This is about a kid that grows up pretty hard knocks, ends up locked up, learns to fight, uh, becomes a priest, becomes an exorcist, and his whole mission is fighting demons in the street, in the souls of man. Well, he wrestles with his own as to the tortures he's went through, and that's what he's trying to do, save people from all of that. So we combined his martial arts skills and his need for not necessarily revenge, but a a righteous balance, a justice.
Mm-hmm.
A justice. I could not, as a human being myself, walk down the street, see somebody, and this has happened to me, and I'm no hero, nothing, but watch somebody beat the hell out of some woman or some kid and just walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I couldn't do that.
me either. I would just assume them beat
Nobody could.
me.
You'd have to intervene.
Right.
And that's in all of us. That's in all of us, the common man. So we're trying to put that together. Now we also have something we are putting on that we feel is this. I don't want to give it away, but look at all the false prophets in our society, the bullshitters who are selling God, selling religion. And you see them all the time starting up their Ferraris, their Maseratis as they, leave their golden palace and drive down the hill to their other palace. Power to them. But if any of those people ever really follow the Bible, not to be preaching or anything, that's the worst thing you could do, according to the Old Testament. Man, they'd burn them at the stake, hack them up, throw them in the street. There was some pretty miserable things would happen to you if you did something like that. And I think, that's great information. So we're looking to, combine films like that that are pretty horrific. The Preacher is a film we have in development that centers around those issues. We also have another film, but we like social films. Craig and I think we have a responsibility to the community on 3 levels: to entertain, to inform, and hopefully enlighten. But if all we do is entertain, we've done our job.
That's true.
And that's our principal goal.
Right.
And after that, so I don't like didactic films. I don't want anybody shoving their ideologies down my throat. And we try not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets difficult at times.
Yeah.
Because
It
it's
reminds
like,
me
wake
of The
up.
Mist. Have you
Absolutely.
seen the Stephen King movie, The Mist? There's a part where there's kind of like almost like a cult in the grocery store in The Mist.
Yeah.
Yes,
The
I
Mist.
did. I
Yeah.
did.
And
I
the
know what you're
lady's
talking
like
about,
the
Rosie.
religious leader, and she's like brainwashing everybody that,
Yes.
if you're a God worshiper, you kill each other if you don't do what I say. And I'm like, man, that lady is crazy. Kind of
Yeah.
something like that. It reminded me of.
Well,
I know what
the
you're talking
interesting
about.
thing about storytelling, especially writing, is you're hearing the voice of the writer. All the different characters,
Yeah.
their conscious or unconscious acts are consciously instilled by the writer. So the conflicts that are created vis-a-vis the interaction of the characters, the pursuit of the plot, and then trying to embed thematic statements into those, that's the goal. That's our goal. To try to create something, write something, show something that is entertaining, informative, and hopefully gets you to think, a little provocative, gets you to wonder about yourself. The Crumbs, that's a disgusting group of people. They are sick human beings, straight up, incestuous murderers, cannibals. I mean, there's vampirism going on. I mean, she's a bleeder. They're constantly bleeding people to replenish her blood system. The old man's a pedophile, a homicidal maniac. He's crazy. But when you watch the film, and the compliments I've gotten that I've loved the most were, at the end of the movie, I kind of liked them.
Because they probably represented a place deep inside ourselves that we kind
Right.
of can relate to. We can relate to it in a way. I
Well,
feel
think
like,
of this. What was their goal? To help each other, to love each
yeah,
other, to care for each other. Isn't that what all of our goals are?
And to
We
survive.
seek, we seek love,
hmm
respect, acceptance, understanding, and forgiveness. Those are the 5 human goals everybody on the planet strives to obtain.
Yeah.
Those
I
are
agree.
also goals of characters inside of storylines. Those are the things they seek to
Right.
obtain. So when you think about it that way, you can start to get a handle on what drives somebody to do what they do. That's it. Remember what Mrs. Crumb says, oh, Irene Crumb, Mama Crumb. Have you ever had a child? We're only trying to save her. I mean, it's innocent. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you do anything in the world possible to save your own? Hell yeah. So
Most
where is
likely.
it wrong? Well, I think the
Mm-hmm.
wrong part comes when they start chopping them up and making steak soup and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like I'm not gonna say the names, but
I
like
said,
well, like the current case, I can kind of relate, and I don't know why, and it's kind of sick, but I can kind of relate to, and I hope I don't get persecuted and everyone doesn't think that I'm going to hell after I say this. I can kind of relate to Brian Laundrie's parents trying to hide what he did in a
oh
way.
yeah, no, you're not
I
sick for
can in a
that.
way.
That's a natural
I'm not saying
instinct.
it's right. I'm not saying it's correct.
No,
And
no,
I'm
it's
not
not.
saying
It's
it's going to, yeah, but I can kind of I understand it. Does that make sense? Like why they would have done
no, absolutely. It makes sense.
what they
It's not
did.
acceptable.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable, but
Yeah.
it makes absolute sense.
I feel like
We have
everyone
a
that's like going after them isn't ever been put in that situation. They've never been in that
That's right.
situation. If you've never been in that situation, you really don't know what you would do until you're in that situation.
That's right.
absolutely right. Absolutely right. And while and a very good example, by the way, you just can't put that into words, the feeling for your child and what you would and wouldn't do when it
Mhm.
comes down to it. And hopefully you have the strength and the courage to do the right thing. And at that moment in time, the right thing is saving your child. That's a
I mean, they
natural,
risked a
instinctive
lot really to
thing.
do that.
Yeah, they
They
did.
risked a
Yeah,
lot
they
to do
did.
that. And even though he
That
might be
free
not
will
alive
is,
anymore,
yeah,
yeah, he might
and
not
free
be
will is
alive
a,
anymore.
mm,
They'll make a movie about that, I'm sure. I feel like they're going to make some movies
uh,
about
Oh
that.
yeah, they
well,
will.
Yeah.
not to bring up sore subjects of death and everything, but look at what's gone on just recently on that Rust set, unfortunately, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
the cinematographer being accidentally killed.
Hmm.
Uh, that's a horrible thing, But again, there were choices that were made, wrongly, rightly, doesn't matter. There was choices that were made. That young man who just got signed on to the Raiders and just lost his job as a football player doing 156 miles an hour in
Yeah.
his Corvette, twice the alcohol limit in his system, and he doesn't die. He
Yeah, I
wished he
figured it
would
had
have.
to
I'm
do with
sure of that.
alcohol. I just knew alcohol had to have been somewhere in there
Yeah,
involved.
Yeah. I mean, that's why they say, there you go. Perfect example. Don't drink and drive. Don't do all this. And you killed somebody.
that's right.
There it is.
And don't
Exactly,
drink and
Jason.
shoot or don't drink and be around weapons because I've seen too
And
much
look
stupidity.
how horrific those events and those scenarios are.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
death in that car. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we really need to make up something? See, that's the scary part for me about doing horror films. As Craig and I start to develop scripts, we have one. It's so horrific what was written. Craig just didn't want to do it. He just said, I really don't like that. And I can understand where he's coming from, with it, but it was a horrendous stuff. So I don't,
Mhm.
to me, life itself is horrific. We don't need to get
Yeah,
any.
write what you know and it's horrific enough, or write what you know and it's just go to the deep caverns of your mind and humanity, and there's plenty to write there. I feel
So
like
true.
there is
Yeah.
So
way
true.
Denial, denial,
further,
denial.
way scarier than fiction, stranger than fiction.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
That
And
brought up, the thing about what happened on the set of Rust, that brought up a lot of stuff that a lot of people haven't thought about in years. But what
yeah,
happened, with Brandon Lee and The Crow,
yeah,
and
That's
then
right.
I know his sister was speaking out and stuff about like that kind of stuff because I remember when that happened, it was such a big deal back in it was like '94, whenever that movie came out, something
Yeah.
like that. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, and then she's like, I can relate to what's going on, and then it's such a tragic event when stuff's just supposed to be, those guys are just going to work and making film, but uh, you know, you take somebody like Brandon Lee was rising up like that, and that's the
Yeah.
same thing that compared to the woman who died, but she was a rising star in her field.
Yeah.
So
Well,
You know what
the
stinks
question,
though is she's not going to get to finish that project, and he did get to release his movie was able to be released. So at least like he got some kind of poetic justice. I don't think that he should have died because he seemed like a beautiful person, but at least he got to leave that imprint on the world with that movie because it was so iconic that that movie is still talked about now, and I don't feel like she's going to get that, and it kind of stinks for her.
Yeah.
yeah,
we all tempt the devil with our acts, and free will is the dividing line between whether you do or don't. So I myself, I done some pretty crazy stuff in my life, and uh, thank you, Lord, for letting me have another day. Uh, I, I find it at times perplexing that we think of things like somebody didn't have to die or somebody shouldn't have died, and you're absolutely right. And then you think about how luck is thrown into the whole ball of wax of life. If you believe that every day could be your last day,
Hmm.
then maybe they did have to die. I'm not saying that they should have died or
Yeah,
that I'm thankful they died. I'm just
yeah.
saying in the scheme of the universe, if you believe about a
I do
plan,
believe things happen for a
there
reason.
you go. So
And
maybe
that
this is
might have
supposed to
been how
happen.
they were meant to go, and something probably was propelled from that situation or elevated or something came
Well, think of the
and
repercussions to all those involved. They're going to
yeah,
suffer some serious repercussions.
yeah,
yeah,
Those
and so
repercussions
will
are there
the
for a reason.
industry of Western movies or movies of that
Yeah,
genre, the
but you know what? I
industry of
watch a lot of old movies as well, and
hmm
westerns in particular. My God, the dangerous things they did
yeah, it's
in
crazy.
those, that was no joke. There was no technology covering that up, no CGI, none of that stuff, no green screens. This was them on the horses in the desert falling
Wild
off
Wild West.
That's right.
Right?
how
And
did
now
they
you
do that
got
stuff?
how did the
yeah,
it's almost supernatural how this happened to unfold. Like it was meant to I guess something was meant to happen. Like maybe someone was just pressing their luck and the universe was like, "Oh, no you don't. We're going to show you." Maybe, I
Irony,
don't know.
yeah, irony's a teacher.
yeah,
Yeah.
If you pay attention in life, you'll understand that most of life is ironic.
Yeah.
You're
yeah,
born to die, right? I mean, just starts off right off the jump, you're doomed. Okay,
And if you
you
don't
know,
listen to
you know
your
there's an
lesson,
ending.
I feel like if you don't listen to your lesson and you don't listen to either God or the universe or whatever's telling you to do what you need to do or to change, that it's going to make you have to listen. It's going to put you circumstantially where you have to wake up, open your eyes, and you have to listen.
That's
I
right.
really strongly believe in that.
Now, how do we
yeah,
make a movie out of that? See, that's
yeah.
the question.
The
Okay.
Matrix. No, I don't know. That just pops in my mind.
Well, I got an
That
idea, and that's what I've been working on.
I saw that you talk about that kind of stuff and changes being made. I saw with The Rock, he came out and said he's not going to use any more real weapons or real guns in his movies.
Oh, did he?
I got to say this, and I love The Rock. I watch his movies. They're fun movies to watch. I have
Hmm.
a good time watching them. Take my grandchildren and whatnot. They're all cool. But that to me is a self-serving statement that he shouldn't make at a time to blow himself up as looking like he is the guy with the answer on some of the
Yeah,
shoulders of this tragedy and those who have suffered this loss. I think that's wrong for him to do. He shouldn't have said those things. He could just do those things. He didn't
yeah,
have to make a
too.
big public thing about it and make himself look like he's
I
something
will agree with that statement because
that
I do
bothered me
things that
to
I
no
do
end.
not because I want recognition. I do
That's
things that I
right.
do because Nobody knows half of the stuff that I do. I can write something down or tell somebody, and they're like, "You do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just don't really care if anybody knows. I don't do it because of that. I do it because of where I came from, like the place that I came from when I was born and what I went through to get here." And you never forget that stuff.
That's right.
That's what makes you noble.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good word. I haven't heard that
Absolutely
word in a
noble.
long time.
Yes.
That's true.
I was reading
Yeah.
some of the comments. Sorry. Um, welcome, Robert. Also, I haven't seen you on our channel yet, or I haven't seen you watch our show yet. So, welcome, new person. I'm a psychic medium as well as I am also a forensic psychologist. Well, we need to be friends then. I'm into that stuff. Criminal profiler for 30 plus years for the state of Florida. Don't listen to
Oh
what I
wow.
experienced within those 30 plus years. Has changed me forever.
That's
I
a
would imagine.
mistypo.
Yeah.
He's not telling us what he meant at that last part of the sentence. I'm just saying that, Robert, because I know that's not what you mean. I
Don't
know you
listen
want us to listen to you.
to what I experienced within those 30 plus years. Changed me forever. It changed me forever.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm talking into my phone. And sometimes, there we go. Sorry, I'm talking into my phone. And sometimes it doesn't let me use the words that I'm saying. The things that I have experienced were completely life changing. That's what he meant. I
I
bet.
can
I can
I can
imagine.
imagine doing that stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't often say this, but I worked as a police officer for a few years when I was younger, in
Yeah.
my 20s, and it talked me out of it. So just that short period of time that I did it, changed, really opened my eyes as to what that profession is, what it demands, and what I didn't
Yeah.
want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the movies you guys are making, you're talking about the fighting the demons and the preacher and all that stuff. Do y'all have to really kind of dive into like all that sort of thing as far as like dive into the demonic stuff and put yourself in that state, or is like or you just do some research? How's that work for y'all?
Well, I'm not sure if I should answer that. I might appear crazy. No, just kidding. uh, what I do is I think of a topic or a character or a personality that I want to develop. And then I research as much as possible about that so I know what I'm talking about to some degree. Then I usually always come up with a beginning off the top, and then I develop my ending right away. And I figure out
Yeah.
how I want it to end. What's the result? The result is usually the lesson. It's not always wrapping up the plot.
Mm-hmm.
So when I develop my ending now, I know who is doing what and why, and I know where he's going and how. Now the only thing is how to get in there. That's just a matter of obstacles. I'm no great writer, but I got an understanding of the process to a certain degree. And as I continue to write, I think I get a little better. So and it's a slow process. The development comes quickly, or it's a grind. I wrote a 3-act play in my car driving home with my wife after seeing some graffiti on a wall. And by the time I got home, I had it all in my head. I went at home and I wrote it out. Uh, I came up with the idea for Love and Quarantine when we were shooting Demon Fighter. In the middle of the shoot, I started thinking about how everybody's quarantined and how you get on each other's nerves because, a set, you can pretty get unnerved after hour 10. Quit breathing on me.
Yeah.
Shit like that, right? And so I thought of Love and Quarantine, and the idea just came. So I don't even know how to explain it sometimes. I don't even know if it's any good, tell you the truth. I just know you got to get it out of you. Writers, it's kind of like purging to a degree. You got to get it out of you, and unfortunately, Craig is kind of the guy that I get it out on.
Gotcha.
Well, it's interesting when we're talking about an idea, when one of us goes silent, it's like that awkward silence. They're just not really feeling it. And David and I are brutally honest with each other, because that's in CRA's best interest. It's not our egos talking, but when it's gelling, and which is typically always the case, it really is exhilarating to be creating something. What about this? And what about that? And what about this? And then suddenly, you start to have something, and you want to make a film.
Yeah.
That's the size of it.
So let me ask you this, as I'm thinking about it real quick, is that when you guys are writing a script for whatever movie it is, do you picture the actor in mind that is that role, or is it strictly just casting, like doing casting calls or whatever? But I just curious if you had somebody like specific, like that's the guy.
Yes and no. I've written stuff with a certain size character or caricature, personality trait, if you will, and I look for that in an actor. And then I have written something where I wanted this one person, and I just told him straight out, I really won't like you for this part, but you still got to earn it. You're going to have to audition like everybody else, and if somebody else is better, I'm going to show you their audition and why you didn't get it. Right? It's kind of brutal. We don't care if you're an experienced actor, SAG-AFTRA, or new beginner. Doesn't matter. We're interested in two things. Can you interpret the character and what's going on in the scene? And then can you take direction? If you can do those two things, we'll give you a shot. We'll work with you.
Right.
Again, this is a tough world. Acting's a tough business. And part of our job is to train people, teach people. I'm an acting coach. I work with actors. I've held sessions for free at my home, inviting producers, directors, actors, other filmmakers, and we would talk about acting for an hour and a half, and then talk about filmmaking, the business side, for another hour and a half. I'd help them understand how to develop their business. The thing about Craig and I, and the thing that really works well, we both have business acumen. He's a very talented artist. Don't let him fool you when he talks about I'm the one, on the creative side. Not so true. Guy's a really sharp editor. He's won awards for his films. He's written them. He's produced and directed his own films. He's very talented. He's an actor as well, as you know, professional actor. But he's also a businessman, and he's very astute with that. So our combination of skill sets and our backgrounds really complement what we're doing. The things that I don't necessarily like to do or can't do, he does and can, and vice versa. So it really works well for us. But the problem is, it's just us. We have other people that work around us, technicians. I have great guys. Josh Williams, our editor, my gosh, I can't tell you how thrilled we are to have this guy. Brad Durante, our editor. Incredible. These two guys just saved a film for us, with Jerry Gonzalez, our graphic designer. They took what was brought to us in scraps because of some situations, and wow, that we're going to screen this film next week on the 18th, as I was saying, and we're excited. Loving quarantine. We're excited about the film. How we cast people, again, just depends on what it is and what I'm trying to do. Demon Fighter, I originally wrote the film with me as the lead. Yeah, laugh about that. And then I brought it to Craig, and we both liked it. We're going, yeah, we'll do this film. And I read it again, and I said, really? Even though doing those things, okay, but who wants to see my old self doing those things? I was going to say old ass, but I thought I shouldn't say it. So,
You
who wants
know
to
what?
see me?
Stephen King makes a cameo in a lot of his movies. I'm
Oh
just
well,
saying.
I'm in my movies. I'm
He's
in my
pretty
movies.
old. He's getting pretty old.
He is.
He's a lot older
I'm
than you, I
into
bet.
films as well. Demon Fighter and Crumbs. I have significant parts in both those, as does Craig. But that's not even the issue. The issue is what's good for the film.
Yeah.
And I realized I wasn't. And I rewrote it and wrote it for a younger guy. And I found, drum roll, Master John Azuna. He's
Right.
in The Matrix. He's in
Oh my goodness.
Venom 2. He plays the Scarecrow in it with Woody
Oh my goodness.
Harrelson.
Yeah.
So we're and it was a better choice.
Yeah.
It was a better choice for the film, and he did a fantastic job, and we're
Right.
excited about it. So, as Craig said earlier, what's good for CRA?
Right.
What's going to move our company forward and keep a fan base like you folks? Do you know the reason we do horror films? The fans.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, straight up, there's no better fans. I know people like musicals, but no, the fan base for horror movies far outdoes the musical fans. There's no comparison.
Absolutely.
Well, I was just curious because when you was talking about Demon Fighter, the first person that popped in my mind is Jean-Claude Van Damme, just because I'm a huge fan, and I just
Yeah.
I could see that, I guess.
Yeah, I just pictured that. So that's where my mind went. It's like, I wonder if those guys think the same thing. Like, if they're picturing somebody for that role,
You
I
were
was
exactly
thinking
right.
like Nicolas Cage because of the Willy's Wonderland thing. I don't know why. It just made me
Well,
think
wait
of
till you
him.
see this guy, Master John Azuna.
Yeah.
He holds the world record for the fastest punch ever thrown.
Oh,
He
wow.
also holds the world record for number of punches thrown within a minute.
That's
Over
a perfect
700.
image then aesthetically to just present a title such as Demon Fighter. I feel like that reputation alone of him having those completely probably screams like Demon Fighter.
Well, we're hoping that it could become somewhat of a franchise. We think it has the possibilities. He's a great guy. As a human being, he's a great guy. Just so personable, so humble. If you ever meet him, you would never believe this guy does what he does. So good guy to be around. It's like Jackie Chan or some of these other actors. They're just humble people.
Yeah.
They're just fun to be around. That's the way this guy is. A hard worker. He busted his butt in our film. All of them did. All the actors do. That's the one thing about the fortunate thing for Craig and I. We screen everybody, and generally we're making very good choices with our cast and our crew. Most of them have worked with us on a few different films. Not always the cast, because different people. I won't cast you simply because you're my friend, and I will.
Yeah. You did have to cast your friend one time, though, didn't you? Say that Craig had to take this place one time of a guy that had a breakdown in his vehicle. Do I remember correct?
Yeah, close to that. It was Demon Fighter.
Yeah.
It was Demon Fighter. And the previous evening, we shot late into the morning. It was a very long shoot. And this was a night shoot that you're thinking of, Rosie. And so I told David, I said, I'm going to be in my car. I'm going to take like a 5-minute nap. I just got in my car and I fall asleep quickly. And there's a knock on my window. Scared the hell out of me. And they said, David needs you on set dressed as the Woodsman. That's the character I played in the Crumbs, which is basically a homeless guy, and need you on set in 5. So I sprung into action, right? So I had before, and I kept my costume, and I brought it with me, and it's in the trunk of my car.
Yeah,
just to, you just never know when somebody says you need a homeless guy. No, and so that's what ended up doing, and I was dressed and on set within about 5 minutes, and that's what you're thinking of.
Yeah. So he was great. He was great, and he takes the direction so well. He walked up looking like hell. And I said, okay, you're a whiner with a bum. I go, you already know that. I go, yeah, okay, I'm a whiner with a bum. I go, and you see this poor old lady over here in the corner? I want you to molest her. He goes, all right, cool, I got it. I molest the old lady in the corner. All right. He adapted just like that. Didn't have one problem with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
got you, Coach.
if you ever need a couple of paranormal investigators from Oklahoma, here we go.
Or you
Right
just
on.
need anybody that has a deep South accent for whatever reason.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Oh,
That's
I
pretty
yeah.
had
cool.
there was a question from one of the ladies. It's for David,
Yeah.
but it could pertain to either one of you guys, I guess, if y'all both develop the stories. Do you take any of your dreams and adapt them to screenwriting? That would be a good inspiration, I guess. A good idea.
Hmm.
I don't have those kind of dreams.
Boy,
No, I'm just
I
kidding.
do. If someone, they'd think I was crazy if I did, though.
That's strange. I really never have. The strange thing is I remember my dreams. I even woken up and thinking about a dream I was having and go back to sleep and continue it. Kind of bizarre. I dream of flying and whatnot and crazy stuff. So, and then the other ones I'm not supposed to retell. Those are those other kind of dreams. So
Yeah.
not fit for films.
Right. That's interesting.
That's funny.
It's kind of like a little Wes Craven type deal there, as far as seeing things in your dreams and writing it down. So that's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
how do you guys take like if somebody had an idea for a film like that, do y'all take meetings of like that to to come up with new ideas like that?
We really haven't, and not because we don't appreciate or respect outside people. It's that we've not had anybody who really could put up with us to this point because of the way we work. Our first film, we made it, and our second film, without ever being physically present in the same spot from the beginning up until we started shooting the film.
Oh wow.
And when Craig said that we were on it 24/7, he's pretty close to right. We work on our films probably 7 days a week, or at least talking about it on Sunday, preparing for something coming up. We're both older guys, we're retired from our other professions, and this is all we do. So for us, it's a time consuming, and bringing in other people is right now we haven't had the luxury. Believe it or not, we've been very fortunate to make films. Not one of our films has cost over $60,000. Most of them 30, 40 grand, 50 grand, because we're very organized, and that saves us money. We're very tight. And like I told you, Craig, one of his skill sets is just that, finance and doing that sort of thing. So we've been very blessed with having
Budgeting, right?
budgeting.
I
It's the
love
key.
budgeting.
We're big on it, and we're pretty good about doing it. Craig's over those numbers over and over and over and over. We have an S corporation. We're a corporation, our business is, and each one of our films is an LLC, a separate entity. We do that. We maintain strong corporate status with how we work. We're business people. We don't take this lightly. We're got a camera and let's make a movie. We believe strongly in being professional as much as possible and adhering to that. And we try to instill that in everybody, so everybody gets paid no matter what. We don't ask anybody to work for free. I would never work for free myself. One time I worked for free because I didn't like Big Pharma and I liked the short film they were doing that was blasting them. And that was the only time I worked for free. And not because I'm so good that I should be paid, but I do have self-respect and dignity, and I've worked hard and studied hard to do what I do, as does Craig. And if I'm good enough to be in your film, I'm good enough to pay. So with that, we walk that talk. We pay everybody. We're an indie company, but everybody gets paid in our films. That's just that. We even tip the PAs pretty good at the end of the shoot as well. Feed everybody, house everybody, and we provide transportation.
Wow.
So,
That's awesome. I don't
Yeah.
work for y'all, but thank y'all for doing that. Just because it seems
Yeah.
like in the pandemic, it's harder and harder. I don't know. Everywhere seems like they're hiring and they can't keep enough people. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It stinks. Our economy looks, like pretty icky right now. It's sad. I don't like it.
we're going to push on. We shot 2 films during the pandemic. And one of them's getting ready to be aired, and the other one's right around the corner from that. And we have other things we're working on. Like I said, the big thing about being associated with Craig is he's a very organized person, and it allows me to stay organized as well. So
That's cool. I guess my next question is that do you guys you guys get, I guess fangirl out on different people you meet that do the same thing? Like if you run into like John Carpenter or something, like who's your guys that are those people for y'all?
I think maybe for both of us, at least for me, would be Hitchcock. And I think I'm speaking for you too, David, right?
Yes.
yeah, I love Hitchcock's films. I do like Carpenter. I do like a lot of these other guys, but Hitchcock. Yeah, I think why Craig and I like him so much is because he was an editor's nightmare and an editor's dream. I mean, wow. And Craig's got an eyeball like a peregrine falcon. I mean, it's targeted. It's dead in there. And so his little minutia of a second and working at this and taking that and Hitchcock was that way.
Yeah.
There's a film he did called The Rope. Are you familiar with it?
Rope, yeah, I've seen some of that.
2 cuts.
Yeah.
In the whole film. The first one you'll catch. The second one you got to look for. He shot it in 1 take. Well, it was actually 2, but he had that, and he could have done it easier. But a feature film like that, and I don't know if you ever tried to do anything like that, but in the Crumbs, we took the first opening scene to the Crumbs is actually 5 scenes. Because they go from the interior from an exterior of a car to the interior of a car to the exterior to the front porch to the inside of a building to upstairs to in a room to back downstairs and to a door. It was actually 5 scenes. We strung them together and we shot it in 1 take.
Oh wow!
I had multiple cameras. A guy in the car was tracking from in the car to outside to the front, go around back, replace people set upstairs already, cameras in position. It was, for me, it was the best shot of the film. It was the best day of shooting for the film. At the end of that take, the entire cast and crew, and we're talking like 40-something people on set, exploded into applause and cheers.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. And for me, it was amazing. If you see the film, when you see the opening scene of the Crumbs, keep that in mind all the way till Leonard grabs his big knocker there, his bat, and he runs to the back door. That's where the take ended right there. And it was just a spectacular moment for me to watch it all come down and watch these actors and these technicians do that. I was so humbled that these people would be willing to follow such direction so exact in time and paid so much attention to it. It was amazing to me.
Yeah.
And I know it's no spectacular Oscar-winning film. I'm not tripping. But it was amazing, and those people were amazing, and I'll never forget that.
Yeah, just to probably finish your vision and get it like all the way complete is probably just as successful to you as it would be if it goes on to be a big film or not.
Oh hell
Right.
yeah! And I'll tell you, the most amazing thing was we were running out of time, and is either get this in this take, guys, or we're going to be here all damn night till the sun comes up. So I think they had the right motivation.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you don't
true.
eat your green beans, then you're not going to play with your toys. No, not
Yeah,
exactly, but
going to bed
There
early.
you go.
Yeah, I was just curious about who those guys were for y'all, and then I know, like watching some long, continuous one-shot scenes like that. As far as like James Wan likes to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I like that in it. So I can understand what you're talking about. To get it one long, continuous take, and I know that's got to be tough uh, to get everybody on the same page, like you were saying, to do it. But yeah,
That's the part of filmmaking that the audience never gets to experience.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thrill of what we
Mm-hmm.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It probably
we
helps
don't do.
also. The guidance of you guys being there probably plays a lot into how fast you get finished too. Like if you're actually present, you know what I mean? And you're there
Oh,
and you're guiding everybody and it goes smoothly versus if
you know
everything's
how
just
tall
not.
Craig is? You know how
Huh?
tall Craig is, right?
He looks
He's
tall.
Stand up, Craig. Let them see you.
he's like 6'5", right?
Oh wow.
Big
Really?
guy, right? So I place him at the beginning of each scene with a big paddle. And I tell people, we're going to get it right the first
like
time, right, folks?
like a
Next time
baseball
we go
bat.
snap, slap.
That's
That's
pretty funny.
funny. You're like, this is your pep talk. This is
Yeah.
your pep
That's
talk
right.
right here.
this is your motivation for your scene.
That's funny.
that that'll do it. That'll work for sure.
That'll do
Yeah.
it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good
I agree
point.
with Linda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can. It's perfect. Like, oh, you can get such a moment that can even like supersede what your vision was for it, or you can get a moment that doesn't quite cut it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Aside from the
So
scene
true.
inside, the bathroom, the shower, and all the knife and all that,
Yeah.
the the most incredible scene was actually the one where Martin Balsam, the detective, the cop, is walking up the stairwell to go to the second story inside the house,
Hmm.
and Mama comes out and gets him, and they show him falling backwards down the stairs and whatnot. That was the
No.
first time they did something like that. That was pretty cool. So yeah,
Hmm.
Hitchcock was pretty amazing, but he was also a little creepy with some of the things he did in the birds. He sicked real birds on that poor lady and Tippi Hedren, and she got injured. I mean,
Wow.
yeah, she got actually really hurt
How
and
in real
freaked out.
life?
Yeah, not cool, but a hell of a shot. I mean, the movie was really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say it beats getting shot, I guess, but it's still you don't really think about it, I guess. Otherwise, you could get injured on a set, other than having like a stunt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I guess that could have been a
So
stunt back
true.
then. The bird scene.
So
So
true.
is there a location that you guys really really want to like shoot at? I mean, it's on a bucket list.
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna say Hawaii too. Yeah.
I have a
Japan.
Yeah.
I got a good idea for a great story. Takes place on Maui.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
just a matter of money. That's all it is. It's just a matter of money, which we don't have. So there's the matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, like, do you
That's
guys
funny.
have more of actually already put together places that you shoot at versus all of these different sets at all these different locations? Or do y'all have some movies that had a bunch of different sets?
Uh, yeah, well, the one we just shot had two different sets, but the Demon Fighter had the most sets. Craig, most
Yeah.
locations.
Yeah. 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 We
Demon
had quite
Fighter
a
had
few
numerous
setups. Quite a few setups for Demon Fighter.
inside a
And that,
juvenile detention
and that,
facility.
yeah, yeah, right. And then that film called for me. So yeah, I had quite a few.
Someone asked,
It's
how long have you guys been in the film industry?
off and on since the early '80s for me. I took a hiatus to go to law school and do that for a bit. Was still doing television work and some things. I got involved with a jazz band playing music. I play music. So off and on, I kind of left it because it wasn't being nice to me. And I had kids and they needed a home. And that's why I ended up in law school. But it was a really good thing for me to do. it helps us a lot in our business now, that knowledge.
Yeah.
I studied the
legalities and contracts and
that was my biggie.
insurance and
Contract
That,
law, labor
probably
law,
yeah.
environment law. I mean,
liability.
entertainment law. I mean,
Mhm.
anything to do with the contract or negotiations. That's what I did for a firm as well. I was the negotiator for the firm. So, I think Craig and we've been doing this. Craig has, I think, a more incredible story than mine, and mine's been one of pursuit for a long time, off and on. But Craig, I think, found great success quickly. Uh, his story just kind of crazy. He was giving somebody a ride to an acting school.
Pretty
What
much.
Yeah.
happened to him?
Yeah. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
my story truly could be anybody. It'll be 10 years in January for me in this industry. I was in mortgage banking for over 25 years, and I had, say, retired from mortgage banking before this industry, and a long story longer, but a good friend of mine at a gym that I work out at, he was an actor, but I didn't realize he had an acting academy, and so he invited me. We booked a role in Tarantino's film Django, and Tarantino and Lewis, the person is Lewis Smith, they came up to acting together. And in their class, they had a real powerful class. Brad Pitt was a kid in the class, but Gina Davis.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Right in the middle of the good part.
I know. He said, Gina Davis, bye. I love Gina Davis.
Well,
Yeah.
last time you did that to me, I ended up buying the hamburgers. So he'll be back.
Yeah. Yeah, she actually, just funny, ended on Gina Davis. She actually does a film festival like right up the road from us in Fayetteville, Bentonville, Arkansas.
Very cool. I love her. I love her work. One of my favorite actresses. There's so many incredible actors out there. I get a lot of actors asking me for advice about acting. I'm saying, well, first of all, you got a good caring about what people think about you. The biggest problem an actor faces is his or her concern about everybody else's opinion. Until you let go of that, you're not going to be successful. Lucille Ball stated that until she realized being concerned about everybody's opinion was holding her back, she was held back. And once she let that go, she blossomed. She could do anything. And you see how ridiculous she was in her. Carol Burnett, same thing. I was fortunate to work with a guy named Jerry Gardino. He taught Don Voight. He was his acting coach. I was got accepted into a master class at UCLA, and Jerry was teaching it. I was so excited. I get up there, and I got this Stanislavski thing going on in my head and all this. Right? And I start my thing, and I think I'm on stage 5 seconds. And he goes, "What the hell are you doing? What the hell's that?" And I said, "Well,
There we go.
he's angst and his mama." And he was, "What? Shut that shit down."
I was
He
trying to
said,
go behind the curtain and guide you. It said you needed to connect your video and your audio. So I was like,
Well,
you
yeah,
just
I don't
keep
know what was
talking.
talking,
It's
and
perfect.
I
Y'all
was,
are just keeping the show going, and I was trying to help out.
well,
There
yeah,
you go.
it's like David has also directed stage plays, so if something like that happens, the show just continues. You never stop a praise when
Right?
it
The
starts
show
moving.
must go on. That's
And it
my
was so
motto.
weird. I'm talking, also my screen went blank, and I thought, okay, well maybe they just can't see me. So I kept talking. I said, I think I think I'm talking to the wind, but sorry about that. That's bizarre. I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
Well, it's
you
kind of like
said
being
Gina
an extra,
Davis.
right?
Gina Davis, and then you
Oh yeah,
ghosted
okay.
us. And I
Yeah,
was
so
like,
anyhow,
cliffhanger, thanks.
yeah, so just to wrap that story up, so Lewis invited me to his acting academy on a Monday night. Now, at the time, realized I live in Orange County and I was a single dad, and so I thought, okay, well that's kind of cool. I'll just drive up there and watch actors do their thing, if you will, and which I did, but I wasn't there more than maybe 10 minutes, and he had me in the parking lot with an actress running lines with her. It was very awkward. And I thought, okay, well, this is just to try to help her. Well, the next day he called me and said, "So what do you think?" And I said, "What do I think about what?" And he says, "Give this 90 days." And I thought, "Oh, sweet baby Jesus, that this my construct truly is a mortgage banker. I I've had oatmeal for breakfast for like 35 years. I mean, I'm a very pattern sort of guy, and so this totally took me out of my my comfort zone. And but as a single dad, I always told my kids, be open to possibilities. So if I just said, "Oh hell no, Lou," I would not be on this right now with you guys. I would not. I would have missed David Espinosa. I would have missed all of this. So for me, it's like a kid in like a Willy Wonka saying, "I can eat anything and everything I want." So since this wasn't one of those goals like when I was a kid, like, "Oh, someday I want to be a filmmaker." Hell no. I've always enjoyed film. And like up the street, up the hill from where I live in Lake Forest, the Regal Cinemas. I mean, I've gone there for a number of years, and I always would marvel, like, wow, how do they do that? I mean, how do they do a feature film and all these parts and all of that? Never once thinking like, oh, I could so do that, or as an actor saying, oh, that's easy to no. But here we are. Here we are today. So I feel very blessed. I'm very fortunate. I'll be 67 in January, and so for anybody who thinks, oh, I'm too old, I'm too this or that. Nah, don't be saying that stuff. That unless you're just going to convince yourself. So I thank God that I have David as my business partner. I love what we do. And like what he said earlier, we complement each other well. Like there's two of us, but with David's law background, we can go toe to toe with any distributor. And mine with lending, like you said, Rosie, budgets and all of that. I mean, I'll get excited like we find $100 on the budget. I mean, that's the way that I'm wired. So I am very appreciative to be in this business, and it's exciting, like you said earlier, like when we put the film together, how that's exciting, and it is because once you are done, your film is released, and David and I work very hard in marketing the film, but you don't really know necessarily where that's all going to go. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a filmmaker that said, well, let's make a film that really sucks. I mean, you work really hard, and guess what? It can just go that way. And as far as David and I know, we might have two films like that right now. We might even have more films. Who the hell knows? But going into it, you certainly give everything your best shot. So that's what I enjoy. So I didn't mean to pontificate, but there you go.
Yeah. You saved me from talking.
So I put you all to sleep. Yeah, I know, right? Sorry about that.
We're hoping not to have an Ed Wood moment, but you never know. Okay? You never know.
Those just sort of happen all by themselves.
And by the way, Linda Judd,
yeah,
we're actually confusing ourselves because our latest film here we call a horromedy because of the social issues we're dealing with, but it's a romantic comedy. When you get a chance to see it, please do. It's called Love in Quarantine, and we would like to do a Western. We would like to do other stuff, sci-fi, but the money dictates a whole lot of what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And one of our credos is making the best possible film we could make the cheapest possible way. We don't think it takes a lot of money to make a good story. We think it takes a good story with a conscientious effort towards understanding what you have, what you need, and who are the people that can do it for you. I am not, and Craig is not, and we are not the end all to this. We're only two pegs in the puzzle. We have all these other people that work on these films, the cinematographer, the gaffers, the sound mixers and boom operators and set decorators, and I can go on and on and on. And without those people, our costumers, our makeup artists, we don't do anything. So for us, it's not making films. It's we organize the making of a film. We supervise that. We try to lead it but by no means are we the soul of it. It's all those people combined. It's not just
Right.
one person. It's so bizarre. And I think that's why I love this whole art so much. I'm into art on a number of levels, and this is the most satisfying, most incredible thing for me to watch happen. Imagination to paper, to conversation, to realization, to you see it. That's
Right.
first time I saw one of my plays on stage, I was overwhelmed with myself. Not because it was great, I just couldn't believe it was up there. That
Yeah.
anybody would give a damn to see something like that up there in the
You
first
saying
place.
like it doesn't cost a lot, or the money dictates something, but it doesn't take so much money to like make a story come to life. Reminds me of, is it the War of the Worlds, the radio broadcast, when all they didn't have Wi-Fi, and they didn't have
Right.
computer
You
laptops, and
have
they didn't have Facebook,
imagination.
and they didn't have StreamYard, and they didn't have YouTube, and they just sat and listened to their radios as their entertainment a lot of the time, or played, like marbles or cards or something, or some kind of board game, or sticks in the dirt. And it reminds me of like the War of the Worlds when that was broadcast or
Yeah.
whatever, and it was made into
So
like a
true.
real life thing, but it was made that was really actually entertainment purpose.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
True.
eventually did make a movie similar to it. That
Yeah.
was amazing. Yeah. Very cool.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
they,
I'd say
they
thank you for
scared a lot
sharing
of
your film.
people.
You're welcome, Tim.
Yeah. Yeah. We know Rosie and I make short films sometimes, but it's nothing like that. We don't really,
Oh, cool.
we don't really take like a budget or anything like that. It's just us kind of like coming up with an idea and then just filming it. But it's nothing big or anything like that.
No, let
But
me tell you, I know a gentleman, okay, his name's David Foster. All right. And him with one of our partners, Shane Moss, and some other gentlemen in the Sacramento area, they do exactly what you just said. And they're making some awesome looking sci-fi films. He gets an original idea, gets guys together, he tells them a basic premise, assigns characters to them, sets up a situation, and lets them at it.
yeah,
And it's looking really good. So, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
how you do it. That's not it at all. It's what you're putting into it. You
right.
know? So right on. That's cool.
Yeah, I agree. What you're putting into it.
Very cool.
I don't
Because
know. It's just fun. It's fun.
well, think of this. You remember the
Yeah,
Water
that's
World?
great.
Yeah, Waterworld.
Yeah, you still remember that. And why do we remember that? Not because
Kevin
it was a
Costner.
great movie.
Yeah.
Yes, because that was the biggest sinking ship that ever paved the seas. That's why that thing was tanked. It was horrible. It was just horrible, horrible, horrible. No way you can get around it. But somebody somewhere thought, "Hey, I got an idea.
Yeah.
Let's start a big tornado and we'll throw sharks through it. We'll call it Sharknado."
Oh my gosh, I know.
Yeah. And they made
And
like
even
5
though
of
it
them.
might have been talked about just as much bad or more bad as it was good, probably more bad, it was talked about anyways, and
But
so
power
much that
to them.
everybody knows about Sharknado.
That's right.
There
They
it
talked
is.
about it and they went to see it.
Yeah.
And they
I
went
mean,
to
that's
see it.
true.
So
And
I
you can
guess-
talk about how horrible something is, and it still make you intrigued and curious to go watch it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Or think
That's
of this.
true.
I mentioned it earlier. Somebody who is so bad at making movies that they made a movie of him making bad movies. Ed
Yeah.
Wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
think
reminds me of
about
a couple
that.
of other movies too.
What does that tell you, right?
Yeah, what does that tell you? It tells you the public will watch anything. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. Keep watching our movies.
Documentaries. Documentaries of a documentary? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, same idea.
Well, we've always felt blessed that anybody was willing to entertain themselves with our movies, to watch
Yeah.
our movies. I had a director tell me, you got to have a lot of gall to ask the public to take 2 hours of their lives and give them to you and pay you to do so.
Yeah.
He
And
says, "You just
sit
keep that in
still and
mind
take their
when
whole
you're out
family
there."
there. Yeah, because people like have so many options what to do with their time nowadays. I guess you really do have to kind of feel almost like humbly thankful that they went and spent all the money for their family to sit in a theater to watch a movie, honestly,
That's it.
Hey,
or on a
and,
laptop.
and not to be, a spoiler, but then here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
really, we are.
You
Yeah.
got an
That's
audience
why
all
I
along.
always like to say thank you because I don't feel like everybody does that, but I always type in there and like I am listening to y'all and I'm engaging, and it's good to have a co-host because he can keep the conversation at a fluid. Well, I'm actually addressing like backstage issues, people messaging me telling they can't get on because the link doesn't work and they really want to watch it and talk to you guys, and then answering back all these people kind of like I always say it's kind of like when you like go to a concert and there's that little bitty tiny like peninsula where the person walks out and they touch all the hands of everybody because it makes them feel more important, I guess. Like they're like, "Hey, I know you're here. I see
Right.
you. Yeah, I'm up here, but I'm not just singing to this, to
That's
this
cool.
dark abyss that I can't see."
Well, we
Yeah,
love you guys.
That's
thank
cool.
Without
you.
you podcast folks, we love you guys. You support us. I can't tell you how much that means to us. Uh, when we're asked to do something like this, we're
Amen.
blown away that anybody wants to listen to us or anything else. So we can't thank you enough for what you do, and just
Thank
please keep
you.
doing it.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Appreciate
and
that.
once again, like we all say the date that I don't know if you're like doing it for public or if it's a private event, but like, can you go over what's your next release that y'all are going to have like the screening for next week?
Sure. Go ahead, Craig.
Well, it's Love in Quarantine. We talked earlier about it, and it is a private screening. But anybody in the greater Sacramento area, feel free to reach out to us and we'll try to accommodate you. The venue can hold up to 150 people. We're nearing the 100 threshold right now as far as attendees. So certainly there'd be room and it'll be on the 18th. And it should be a really fun evening. There are a number of people that have responded that David and I are looking forward to seeing. And it's if they haven't gone to a private screening before, it is something that is a lot of fun to do. So yeah, that'll be next week, and we're looking forward to it.
And there'll be
Awesome. I hope
actors
it goes
from
well.
there'll be actors from a few different of our films, from the Crumbs, from Demon
Right.
Fighter, from of course Love and Quarantine. And you'll be able to take photographs with them, talk to them, etc. That kind of thing. Should be a lot of fun. So if somebody's interested, and
Yeah.
if you want to see our films, where can they see our films, Craig?
You can see Evil Down the Street, a number of different platforms, but the primary ones would be you can go to the Roku channel, you can go to Amazon Prime, you can go to IMDb TV and Tubi TV. And for the Crumbs, Tubi TV and the Roku channel would probably be the two best choices. You can also go to Amazon Prime, but Tubi TV, it's a great free, very user-friendly platform with a lot of great content. And that's available both here in the States and international as well. UK, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia specifically.
How do you spell Tubi TV?
TUBI TV. And it's easy to download. I mean, it's just, and Fox just recently bought Tubi TV, maybe 3 to 4 months ago, I suppose. But it's just incredibly user friendly. You just click in, you sign on, and you're off to the races.
Yeah, no prescriptions
a lot of
that you or
content, a lot of
subscriptions.
content.
Pardon me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 That's cool.
And
Yeah,
that's the Crumbs and Evil Down the Street so far that have been released for viewing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you just remember Tubi TV, you could see
Mhm.
both films free, and there you go. Yeah,
Awesome. I'm just putting that in the comments. See if anyone wants to know. They can go
absolutely.
back and they can just scroll and they can look. I feel like it's, good to have that there in case
Yeah.
someone who forgets, whatever. So thank you guys for coming on. Thank you everybody that watched. Share
Oh,
this out, please. Everyone that's watching,
Yes.
if you share it out
Thanks all of
somewhere
you.
or on your page or on your favorite, network page or your favorite paranormal page, whatnot. Thank you guys for being on. I wouldn't mind having y'all back on later on after Love and Quarantine and even maybe the Demon Fighter movie come out to have y'all back on
Oh,
to talk
sure.
about those if that would be awesome or cool with y'all.
Well, if you like it sometime, we could certainly
We'd love
provide
to.
you with trailers
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
them,
that would be
and
cool too.
you can show them on
Yeah.
your podcast. Craig?
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
that'd be cool.
awesome.
Yeah, we could do
Because
that.
I just figured out how to screen share last night and how to show stuff while we're talking about it, so we could do like
Oh,
a
there
horror
you go.
movie
Wow.
show
Well,
and then show different trailers.
we'll send the
That'd be
2
cool.
trailers for Evil Down the Street and the Crumbs to you, and as soon as we
Yeah.
publicly release Love
Yeah.
and Quarantine, we'll provide that one to you immediately.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
that. That's
you.
really
Thank you for
awesome.
having us.
You're
Appreciate
Good seeing
it.
you.
welcome. Thank
All
you,
righty.
everybody who's watching.
Good
Everybody
night,
have a good
folks.
night. Good night.
Bye,
Peace.
guys.
Bye bye. Thank you.